Good morning. Welcome to Garage Gym Fitness. Another little video for you today. So what I want to talk about is pelvic anterior tilt, and what we're going to do is run through 3 stretches which will enable it to alter its position so that you're not tilting your pelvis forwards, and then we'll go into 3 exercises to strengthen the muscles that are predominantly weaker than the ones that we need to stretch, obviously, so that we can pull the pelvis back into alignment. So anterior pelvic tilt, what I mean by that is basically your pelvis is tilted forwards, which pushes your butt out and your stomach and gives you that curvature into the base of your spine. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and release hip flexors. We're also going to try and release your quads, which are obviously pulling everything tight, and then we're going to release hopefully a little bit of lower back. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to do is a hip flexor stretch. And the way we do that is we go down into a lunge position. So we're going to put the knee on the floor. We want to make sure that this leg is about 90 degrees. We're going to rotate the pelvis just slightly forward. So we're just going to push forwards, engage the core, and then I want you to just push forwards into a stretch. So what you'll feel is you may feel tightness in your hamstring, you may feel tightness through your hip flexor, and that's what we want to do. So we want to open up that hip flexor and then just release off. And then back in again and off. And we're going to do that for about 10 to 12 repetitions. So that's 3. Remember to keep that pelvis tilted forward slightly. And 4. So you're going to feel it in the glutes. You're going to feel it all over. You'll feel it in the glutes on the left side as well. What's that, about 6 or 7? So keep going, just push into it nice and gently. As you're breathing, you want to breathe in as you release, and then breathe out as you come into the stretch, okay? Each time we're going to want to go a little bit deeper. Good. And then we're going to do last 2. Good. And done. Okay, and then we're going to switch to the other side. So same thing again, leg at approximately 90 degrees, knee on the floor, and then we're just going to push into that hip flex. Keeping the pelvis just tight, slightly tipped forwards. So we're trying to straighten the back, pushing the pelvis under, so you're kind of tucking under, so it pulls the back straight. So good. Think of it like a thrust. So if you're going to do a hip thrust, it's kind of that position. Good stuff. Good, that's 5. Keep going. Remember, breathe out, in, and then out again. It's probably 7 or 8, can't remember now. 9, 10, 11, and 12. Good stuff. Up on your feet, what we're going to do next is a quad stretch. So basically we're looking to stretch the whole of the quad muscles, so those 4 muscles that run down the front of the legs. And by doing that, the way I tend to do it is sometimes I'll hold on to something, but otherwise you can just grab your foot if you're well balanced, pop your knees together, and then the idea is that we want to pull on the toes slightly because that engages the quads a bit better, and then we just want to pull the foot up into the glute. So say keeping the knees together as much as you can. If you want to increase the stretch and make it a little bit tighter through the through the hip flexors, we're just going to lean back a little bit and you'll just feel that extension of stretch. Just hold it like that. Obviously this one we can't really do as a repetition, so what I would suggest is you hold it for about 30 to 60 seconds. Good, and then release. Give it a little shake off, and then do the same on the other side. So find your balance, knees together, pull back on the toes, feel that stretch. Again, keeping that pelvis kind of tucked under, keeping the back as straight as we can, engage the core. Breathing all the way through. And then if you want to, just increase the stretch slightly by pulling back. Again, hold 30 to 60 seconds. Very good, keep it going. Good, and relax, shake it off. And then the final one is a child's pose. So it's a good old yoga pose. So we're going to go down into a kneeling position. You want to open up the knees just slightly, and then you want to sit back onto your feet. I'll show you from the side as well in a second. And then we're just going to reach up with our hands, bring our head down between the elbows, and reach up. Extend the fingers as far as you can, so you're pushing the fingers right out, and then sit back into it. Again, it's a stretch, so hold it 30 to 60 seconds. Good, and I'll just show you from the side. So basically, knees below the hips. We're going to sit back into it, and then we reach up with our fingers. And we just want to make sure that we're pushing the lower back down as much as we can, so we're getting that full stretch into that as well. Okay, so that's the stretches. Now we're going to go into the exercises. So the first exercise we're going to do is a hip thrust. So you see now I've got a band on my knees. What we want to do is, I'll sort of do it at a slight angle for you. So we want the knees about shoulder width apart, the feet about shoulder width apart, make sure everything's in line. We're going to lie ourselves down flat. What we want to do is, again, rotate that pelvis forward slightly so that the small of our back is into the floor, okay? So we're not creating an arch. You shouldn't be able to get your hand underneath your back. So we rotate the pelvis and we bring the lower back down onto the floor. Okay, knees slightly flexed against the band, and then we're just going to push up and back down again, making sure we keep our body flat to the floor, the back flat to the floor. Push up again and back. Up and back. We're going to do that for 10, 12 times. Making sure we keep the core engaged. Make sure we push all the way up. We're using the glutes as well to push up. Not sure how many that is. Is that 10? 11? And then 12. Very good. Second exercise, donkey kick. So we're going to go again into that kneeling position. We're going to use the glutes as much as we can. And what we want to do is fire the leg up into the air behind us. So we're going to push up against the band and back, okay? 10 to 12 of these. Changing legs. And obviously we're working into the glute muscles as we do this. And again, 10 to 12 reps. There we go, I think that was 12. Okay, and then the final one is, I call it an oyster shell, oyster opener, whatever you want to call it. Basically, we're going to lie on the floor, again, still with the band. Put our feet together, okay? Legs are going to be in 90 degrees. And then whilst we keep the feet together, we're going to open up the knees, pushing against that band, nice and slow, all the way through the resistance. Again, 10 to 12. And we can feel the work happening in the outer part of your bum, so the glute medius muscle. No idea how many that is, 7, 8 maybe. Again, 10 to 12 reps, I think that's 10. And then obviously rotate and do the other side. Okay, feet together, and then knees opening up. That's 9, 10, 11, and 12. Obviously, if you increase the intensity of the band, so if you get more than one band and you've got a stronger one with more resistance, I would suggest starting off with a low resistance one to begin with, just until you get the technique and the movement correct. And then obviously you can increase the resistance, and that will obviously help develop those glute muscles as well. Okay, so that concludes today's tutorial. I hope it helps. Any questions, obviously fire them back to me, and I will see you soon. Take care for now.